Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at trying to make Enamorus-Therian work in Regulation F. And guys, we're just going to jump straight into it, and I'm going to be honest, this is a Pokemon that has not seen a lot of usage. Mostly, in my opinion, because it is just simply that difficult to get in-game. Simple as that. I feel like we would have seen it a lot more had it been easier to obtain, because as it currently is, you have to play through all of Legends Arceus. We're not going to get into that, but I feel like if it was a little easier to obtain, we'd have a few more people, trying to make it work, really trying to, advocate to make this Pokemon good. However, right now it's just kind of mediocre, and no one's really trying to push that forward. So we're going to explore that today, and my first instinct here is we're going to go choice specs, and we're 100% going to go Trick Room. Overcoat, of course, making you very, very strong into stuff like Weather, or in this case, Sandstorm, and Effect Spore, Spore, all that jazz from Amoonguss. So yeah, you're a Fairy type, but you should be okay into Amoonguss, right? So I think we're going to go specs. I think you definitely go Dazzling Gleam. Do you get Moonblast? You do, so you definitely want to go like that. And the concept here is effectively going to be a Flutter Mane for Trick Room. And I guess that's really where you go. You get options like Earth Power, you get Mystical Fire. You get a lot of cool options. I think Mystical Fire, probably one of the better options, just to get through some of the Amoonguss stuff. A Psychic move is cool. There is a lot of options. I think Earth Power, probably one of the better ones. However, we are going to pair this with Ursaluna. Spoiler alert. And guys, this is the concept of this team. We're going to get a Trick Room setter in a second, but then the concept is the entire goal with this team is going to be trying to put Enamorus and Ursaluna on the board beside each other for as many turns of Trick Room as possible, right? A lot of the times you see that with the Trick Room teams. They want to get their two big sweepers on the board in Trick Room as quickly as possible, or as soon as possible. So that's going to be what we're trying to do here, because in theory, there is realistically not many switch-ins to Earthquake, Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam. There just shouldn't be switch-ins to that. So that is, in theory, where we're going. This is the game plan as to what we're going to go for. Now, we need a Trick Room setter. Some want to say Cresselia. I personally, as well, want to say Cresselia. My main problem with Cresselia is I think it just has a habit of sitting on the field and not really taking it to that next level, right? Cresselia is very good at getting the Trick Room up, gets stuck with the Trick Room, and then you kind of have to switch it out if you really want to do anything. So we're going to go Porygon 2 because it does give us a little bit more offensive pressure immediately with that download ability, potentially boosting that special attack, which honestly nowadays I'd say it's pretty common. So we're going to go Eviolite here. And definitely just going to go standard. You're going to go like Ice Beam. I think Terra Blast is very good as well. Uncertain if we want to go flying. I feel like we probably should. Makes sense. I don't know why we wouldn't beside something like Ursaluna. Once again, just another thing that we can click Earthquake beside. Flying. There it is. And then you're going to go Recover and you're going to go Trick Room, right? This is obviously going to be your standard Porygon 2 set as I type Porygon 2 as a move. That would be cool. Could you imagine Porygon 2 use Porygon 2 and then just another Porygon 2 hit the field? Anyways, I don't know why that came to my mind. My brain might be broken. Anyway, so this is the concept, right? And normally on these type of teams, you see the Incineroars and you see the Amoongusses. And guys, I'm going to keep them. These two for sure just enable me to get Trick Room going pretty much whenever I choose to get Trick Room going, right? You're going to see a standard Assault Vest here, rocking the Intimidate, and we'll just go with our standard set here, guys. I'll probably just fill in EV spreads as well in a minute, but Flare Blitz, knockoff, Trick Room. Nope. U-turn, Fake Out. There we go. I was thinking, oh, we need Fake Out for Trick Room, and then Trick Room came out. Yeah, my brain broken. We'll also go with Amoonguss. Like I said, once again, we have a couple options here. I think Covert Cloak is very good. A Rocky Helmet. Citrus Berry is probably your more consistent option. So I am going to go ahead and go with Citrus Berry. We'll go with the Sludge Bomb. We will go with the Trick Room. No. Why do I keep doing that? Why is that twice in this video? Rage Powder, Spore, and Protect. I'll throw that in a minute. We'll probably go Terra Water. It's Water or Fairy, but given we have a Fairy type, I think we can go Water. And now, generally speaking, you kind of have to pick where this core goes, right? This core of 4 right here is something I expect to be doing very well at EUIC this weekend, right? So obviously here we're going to go with that Flame Orb, just get that Guts boosted, activating. We're going to go for the Headlong Rush. We're going to go for the... What? That's like the fifth. Why do I keep putting Trick Room on Pokemon that don't have Trick Room? Anyways, we're going to go Facade. We're going to go Earthquake to spam, and we're definitely just going to go Protect. So this is kind of what we're seeing right now. This is what the meta is shaping up to. And I'm just going to kind of throw an Enamorus on what is already a fairly standard team, right? Now, generally here, you're going to see two options. Generally, you see like a Booster Flutter or a Tornadus, and then instead of an Enamorus, it's usually an Urshifu. So we're going to have to pick how we want this to kind of become a thing. I think I do really want Urshifu, just because, you know, a Torn Tailwind mode doesn't really get me anywhere. So I'm going to go with Urshifu, and I think a Scarf Water Bear actually makes a lot of sense. It's another pivot that I can use to, like, oh, I can U-turn Trick Room and just get my Ursaluna on the board, right? Or I can be in Trick Room and then U-turn, right? Just gives me a lot of options. I think Choice Scarf is a very strong option as well. And once again, I'm just going to go standard here. We're going to go Terra Water, Surging Strikes, Close Combat. We'll go Aqua Jet because it's still pretty good on the Scarf one. And then you can go Ice Spinner or U-turn. I like U-turn. I could maybe go Ice Spinner instead of Aqua Jet. However, I don't think that's necessarily something that's going to be great for us. And I'd rather, if we're in Trick Room, which I think we should be trying to be more often than not, and we get stuck with Urshifu in Trick Room, I'd rather have something that can maybe get some sort of damage out. So this is kind of going to be our concept. Absolutely nothing crazy, guys. And I wish I could make this work with like a different Trick Room setter, you know, like maybe on the hard Trick Room in DD teams, but it really just doesn't gel with that style of concept. Yeah, you know, you get to go like Helping Hand beside Enamorus. Maybe you get, you know, you get to Follow Me redirection. Very, very strong. Very, very good. Just doesn't actually get to the spot that you want it to get to. I'm actually going to go Terra Fire over here. I think it's very good for the Mystical Fire boost. And maybe Incineroar doesn't stick around in the field too often. And the big thing is, how do we get to Enamorus Ursaluna to sweep with enough turns left of Trick Room? So I think we should be able to do that. I'm going to throw some spreads in. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. And we are back with our spreads. And guys, once again, this Enamorus, there's nothing fancy about it, right? Because I decided to go choice specs on a hard Trick Room team, max special attack, and I get the most value out of dumping the damage or dumping the remaining into HP. So I'm just going to dump it all into HP. And then I'll throw 4 into special defense. You can pick defense if you want. Maybe there's like Surging Strike rolls. I couldn't find anything. So I just sent max HP max. Like literally 252, 252. I hate every minute of it. If you guys have been around the channel, you know I hate it. But here we are. Ursaluna. So once again, probably can just get away with any old Ursaluna spread. I wanted to optimize for the burn chip. Like I wanted to take the, like right now I'm taking 13 points of damage from burn every turn. And I have the most HP I can before it changes to 14 points of damage. So effectively I am taking a lower percentage from burn every time. Really not that important, guys, like at all. I enjoy it. It gives me a little bit of extra bulk on the special side as well. But overall, not that important. You probably could just go 252, 252, but pretty standard Ursaluna here, nothing too crazy. Same with the Porygon, guys. The only thing I really did is I really like when the Porygons on these teams can actually dish out damage. So, because, you know, you get a lot of the games where, you know, you have an Incin, you have an Amoonguss, and they don't really do a lot of damage. So the Porygon, you know, because they can't always have your sweeper on the field, so your Porygon ends up having to be that damage dealer. So I wanted to actually hit a decent jump in the stat here at 154. Right, once again, you can pretty much use any Porygon spread. This was really, I'm going to be honest, the only thing I cared about. This is all completely dumped in, completely random. Probably one of the worst spreads I've ever featured on the channel. So if you have a Porygon 2 spread, feel free to take that. Once again, I really just wanted to focus on doing a little bit more damage with the Porygon here. And if we find like, oh, maybe we should have lived that, then we can modify for that. But I'm thinking with this spread, we're probably going to live exactly what we want to live anyways. We also have the Intimidate coming off of the Incineroar. And actually the similar concept with the AV Incin, because you have an Assault Vest, you're allowed to be a damage dealer. Which is one of the main things I love about Incineroar. I do need to change it from Terra Fire. I think on these types of teams, it tends to be Terra Grass, so that is exactly where we will go. But overall, you're going to be clicking attacking moves, so you might as well have some attack stat. 244, 124 should be living most Earth powers from Landuruses, which is something you definitely want to be in a position to do. And then, of course, just some 4 speed, 20 defense, nothing crazy. Everything else was kind of full, so jumped into that. Same with Amoonguss, guys. Literally any Amoonguss spread can do here. You can opt to say, you want to be an even HP number to optimize the berry. It's really not that important. I've never really bothered for that. I think 219, 180 is for the Adamant Ice Spinner from Shenpao. And then I just dumped into Special Defense. Have the speed here because want to be min speed, want to be the slowest Amoonguss in Trick Room. Want to make sure I'm getting the Sludge Bombs or the Spores off when I need to. And then standard Urshifu, guys. Absolutely nothing crazy here. The 44-4 is to live the Terra Normal E-Speed from the D-Knight beside the Shenpao. And everything else other than that is literally just as much attack as I could go, and you need to be max speed here. So I'm gonna send this. We're gonna go see what happens. As always, do some best of ones. I'm excited to try this out. I think Enamorus can work. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to get it to work. Really cool team. I believe this is the one that got I think got top 4 in VR this past weekend. So definitely a valid team, if not the exact team. Very similar. They're pretty decently rated as well. So wouldn't be surprised if it's taken inspiration from that if it's not the same paste. So play it based off of that. But to be honest, I know not a lot about that team. I'm going to try to get team sheets. I doubt we'll get them. But I do think Enamorus is actually very strong here. So the concept being that if we can get Trick Room, we are golden. The problem is getting to Trick Room and getting into that position. So I definitely like P2. I definitely like Incin. I also really think we need Amoonguss, and then Enamorus becomes our sweeper. I don't hate that because I like that a lot actually. I think it's a nice little because they should be covering for the Ursaluna, and I'm hoping that by going for Enamorus and they cover Ursaluna, we should be able to make that work. So I don't think I'm actually gonna get Trick Room off here. Pretty sure this is I actually don't know what the Flutter Mane was. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into Amoonguss and U-turn off of my Thundurus. And the concept being is I want to be able to not get taunted, right? So we're going to Dazzling Gleam. That's fine. I'm not overly concerned. And just a nice little U-turn. I think I'm just going to go straight for this for the big damage with Enamorus. Gets a little weird though because what they're going to do is they're just going to put Trick Room, they're just going to Eerie Impulse me. So I can't actually get to a spot where I want my Trick Room. So I will go Enamorus, and I'll go Sludge Bomb, and I think I'm going to go Sludge Bomb, Terra Fairy, Dazzle, and I'm just going to see as much damage as I can get. I'm going to put as much damage onto the board as I can. There is the Eerie Impulse as expected, but can't really do overly too much about that. Dazzling Gleam for some chip, Sludge Bomb for a little bit more chip, and Flutter, of course, going to survive. But overall, this is kind of okay, because this is going to actually be the last turn of Taunt. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to Sludge Bomb the Thundurus and actually hard pivot into P2. So my concept here with this being the last turn of Taunt, if I'm correct, maybe I should have counted, but is with that Citrus Berry, I'll be able to make it through this turn and should be able to get a Trick Room up with our Wild Bolt by going Redirection. We got a Poison on the Thundy, which is pretty good. The Dazzling Gleam did do 38% to our Porygon. So that gets a little bit concerning. Actually, this is a problem. So they're going to go Dazzling Gleam Wild Bolt. So I can't actually have that. So I have to protect, bring in Incin. Unfortunate, but I have to make it this way. Because they should just Dazzling Gleam Wild Bolt Storm to get around the redirect on the taunt. So there's the Dazzle. There's the Wild Bolt Storm. I unfortunately can't do much about this. Now I can fake out Flutter and just kill the Flutter. Just focus down Flutter. I think there's still a world where we can get out of this. Wild Bolt Storm is fine. I'm not overly concerned. Thundurus is going to go down. And Sludge Bomb into Ogre Pond for some good damage and a poison. I think I just messed up my early turn. And we can see where not getting Trick Room up ends up being the problem. And that's what I was worried about. Because a lot of the times you do need to have those pieces that are going to get Trick Room up. So I can't redirect. This has no reason not to be a Dazzling Gleam. Is there ever a world I can win this? This should always be Dazzling Gleam, Cudgel into the P2. If that's the case, I can maybe bait Enamorus, and if I get a chance to Terra Blast the Flutter, okay, I would kill the Ogerpon because Flutter doesn't scare the Enamorus. Flutter scares, Ogerpon scares it. Porygon 2 survives. Ivy Cudgel, like I said, they're going to go into that P2 every single time. The problem now, though, is I actually can't protect Enamorus, right? That earlier Terra Fire is going to cost me. I can't do much. And honestly, just well played from my opponent and probably poorly played from my end. But quite literally my very first game with this team. So that's on me. I just got to find a better way to get Trick Room going. If there's a world, it's this. They have to double Enamorus. Enamorus goes down. Sludge Bomb goes out into the Fluttermane. Will kill off the Fluttermane. Ogerpon takes a little bit of Poison Chip. They can no longer switch out. We do see the D-Knight, but I don't think Amoonguss is winning this, guys. I'm going to give it a shot, but I don't think Amoonguss is winning this. It is Iron Head, so we might not be dying. They miss a Scale Shot. Everybody hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. We'll drop a Sludge Bomb now. All right, Amoonguss, I've never needed you more, buddy. Well, okay, well, I didn't think there was ever going to be a world anyways, but, well, it's never a bad thing to try to figure out a Dozo matchup. So, also, we finally got our rating up, guys, so our rating's actually, like, a respectable amount, which should be pretty good for these videos. I don't want to just be farming, like, the low ladder players and telling you guys the team is good, right? I'd much rather feature, I don't mind featuring losses or tough matchups if it's matchups maybe you're probably going to see, right? Because it's easy to farm, you know, 4 Politoads, so to speak, right? But, like, when you have an actual team, like, this is a team that you probably could see round 2 at regional, right? Maybe even farther. I know it got second at Birmingham, right? So, you never know when you're going to see a Dondozo, so it's always good to have that matchup. And realistically, this should be very good for us. I just wish I knew my lines. And that's the big thing I've noticed about playing Trick Room in this format. If you know your lines and you know how to get to Trick Room, you are golden. Unfortunately, being my first game with Trick Rooms, or my first games with Trick Room in Regulation F, gets a little annoying, right? Ursulina, very strong here. Enamorus, alright as well. I actually don't hate Enamorus here at all. Once again, if I can get into Trick Room, I think I am in a very good spot. They're going to go Tatsugiri Chiyu, which is super fair. They do get the attack boost. Eject Pack Tatsugiri. I'm gonna be honest, I was not ready for that one. I'm gonna be honest, was not ready for that. That's kind of wild. Okay, Dozo in, that's fine. I have no reason not to click U-turn Trick Room here. Good Dark Pulse, and probably have to Wave Crash from their end. I'm going to go into Enamorus. I think it's super safe. Amoonguss is arguably safer, but if I get Trick Room up, Enamorus puts on pressure, and then Amoonguss is a better switch-in. They're going to yawn. That's fine. I get Trick Room up. This is... Update! I'm not getting Trick Room up. Alright. We're going to go Dazzling Gleam. I'm going to pivot into Amoonguss, I guess. Just when you think we're getting Trick Room up, guys. Just when you thought it was going to happen. So they are going to set the Dozo mode up. Try to get that going effectively. Not much I can really do now. Would have been nice to be in room. But they do Wave Crash into the Amoonguss that does survive, which is pretty good for us. And there's some Dazzling Gleam chip. So I don't think they can actually kill Enamorus. Like, Enamorus actually has stats. So I'm going to Dazzling Gleam. And I think I want a Sludge Bomb to hard call either a Terra Fairy or a Terra Grass or something along those lines. Because I really can't see them wanting to stay in front of the Amoonguss, so I am just going to drop the Sludge Bomb. There's the Terra Grass. Earthquake coming out, obviously not affecting Enamorus. Amoonguss surviving, getting that health back. Big Dazzling Gleam chip as well, which is never bad. And nice Sludge Bomb from Amoonguss. Poison is big as well. It is going to take the KO on Dozo, which I don't think I wanted. I would have loved the Dondozo to survive there, because then I get a turn to cycle. Now I don't have that turn to cycle, and it gets a little more tricky to navigate around here. I think what I do is I pivot into... Actually, I might just Dazzling Gleam, like, straight up, because, like, if I Dazzling Gleam and bring in Instant, I think that's super safe. The Tatsugiri shouldn't appreciate that. And they would need to basically double my Enamorus to get a KO. And it should just be like Heat Wave Muddy Water. And if Enamorus goes down, it gets me Fake Out Trick Room. Overheat. So they're going to commit to the Overheat. That's fine. And Draco as well. This is actually very good because now I should be getting Trick Room. The problem is I don't have a lot of pressure because I lost my Enamorus. So maybe I should have done this the other way and brought Instant in on that side, but I really didn't think they were going to go about doing it that direction. I don't think P2 is dying, so I'm going to go Trick Room and I'm going to just Fake Out to Tatsugiri. Overheat at -2 is spooky, but it shouldn't be killing P2. Okay, good. Okay, so Trick Room is up. Now I get to recover, and I'm just going to start clicking Knock Off. We need to start getting damage in 2 pieces. I could knock off the TU, but right now it's locked into Overheat, and it's not really being a threat. This is super winnable. That's fine by me. Knockoff, obviously not going to be like the greatest positioning of all time, but respectable damage. And Overheat at -1,000,000, never going to hurt. And I'm going to recover one more time because I'm going to need Trick Room up again to win this game, I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to... I think I just U-turn off of the TU because it should be switching out. And maybe protecting on the Shenpao. Beautiful. Perfect. So we're going to get a nice little recover back to full health. That's beautiful. And then big U-turn off the Tatsugiri for Amoonguss to now hit the board. I get Spore Pressure into Shenpao and a free Terra Blast to kill the Tatsu. Well, we never really got Trick Room up with our Enamorus. But the rest of the team functioned, right? And that's one of the reasons I wanted to put Enamorus on a team that was already a strong contender. It was a strong piece because this team can kind of do itself, right? Like Instant Amoonguss P2 is very good, and Enamorus didn't really do much. It did help take down the Dozo, but outside of that, I'm not gonna lie, it didn't do much, but it did put us in this position where, hey, you know what, the other 3 are very, very good. So they're gonna pivot into TU. They're gonna go for the double, which is actually, I think, incorrect, as I get another Terra Blast off into the fish. So I think the double is wrong because they should be trying to burn a turn of sleep, right? And by going for what they went for, they're not actually burning the turn of sleep. I think what I do is I stay in and I just go Spore into the fish and I start Terra Blasting the POW. Might as well put the fish to sleep. Well, I'm going to put one of the fish to sleep. Nap time for Tatsugiri. Terra Blast into the Shenpao. Not quite the KO that I was looking for, but like I said, we're going to need Trick Room up another time anyway, so Trick Room into Instant. This is a guaranteed survival, unless they Sacred Sword the Amoonguss slot, but they ain't doing that. That would have had to have been a really big call out, so that's fine. Trick Room back onto the board, and I get to go, I go Terra Blast into Tatsu, and Sucker Punch should never kill me, so I'll just U-turn off of that. Tatsugiri, dead. Goodbye, thanks to the fish, and U-turn. Not going to kill the fish, but I don't need it to, and that's going to be game. Okay, we're going to get Psy-Spam here, and honestly, this might be one of the ones where if we can leverage P2 and Ursaluna and Enamorus, we're in a very good spot. This is kind of where everybody kind of falls trap, right? Like I want to be bringing both of these, but I really don't want to be forcing both into games. And I think a lot of players will like, oh yeah, it's so easy to try to put them both on the board, but they lose the support for the Trick Room, right? So I think like there is definitely merit to only bringing one of them. If you get to bring both, I think it has to be treated as the, oh, it's a bonus that I got both. At least that's what I'm feeling out like as I'm playing, right? So we'll see. I could also go Scar first here. It doesn't hurt. I worry that this is going to be like fake tears caught into like Blood Moon, and then P2 is just going to die, and that's going to suck. You know? It should be Instant P2, Ursaluna, and Enamorus all day, every day into Psy-Spam. So I'm going to bring these 4. This is what scared me, though. Because I don't know... Well, I guess I get Fake Out Trick Room, right? If they swap in... Yeah, I think I just go Fake Out Trick Room. I know it's not effectively really what we want, but I don't really see much of a different route. So if they swap in Indeedee, good for them. I don't think they should swap in Indeedee. This is a big risk on it. Me gambling on a fake tears play that they probably might not even have, right? So Maybe I'm supposed to go for the much more consistent U-turn Trick Room, but I for whatever reason am terrified of fake tears. They Trick Roomed on my Trick Room. Well, that's a new fear. All right. Once again, valid play, by the way. Super valid. Really can't argue that. If you have it, use it, right? Why not? I am going to try and Trick Room again. I'm not really going to... I'm going to knock off and I'm going to go for the Trick Room. If they Trick Room on my Trick Room again, I mean, good for them, I guess. Like, the Whimsicott support loses its value. Yeah, they're going to go for the helping hand this time. So, Blood Moon, I'm losing P2. Yeah. And once again, this is what I've been trying to avoid. This is what I was trying to avoid in that first turn. Obviously, very cool play from having the Trick Room themselves. Obviously, very fast Ursaluna with the Tailwind option. So, I am going to, once again, apparently not get Trick Room up ever. So, this is just U-turn Dazzle. I don't love the position, but it should hopefully get me a couple KOs. Assuming I don't die. Okay. Enamorus, U-turn goes off into caught. Specs, Dazzling Gleam, Enamorus, do not let me down. Please do not disappoint me. Okay, thank you. So, Enamorus decided not to disappoint me. Still a very, very spooky endgame, though, because it's going to be Psy-Spam. And I don't actually know if Ursaluna can take anything here. Part of me wants to protect. Because by protecting, it allows my instant to hit the board and put on pressure for a turn where they once again will have to click Expanding Force. I just think for right now, to be honest, it's just going to be Helping Hand, Expanding Force, and everything will be dying. And I don't know if I ever get out of that. I'm going to cover for, I'm going to go instant here. And my game plan here is to make sure that I'm not taking damage on the Ursaluna. If Ursaluna is going to survive the turn, it's going to have to be at full health. So, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you. I am pretty sure it doesn't happen, but we also now have the play where now Ursaluna has Protect, and I can threaten the Iron Crown with a kill. So, this becomes effectively a 50-50 on, I think what they should do is just follow me. And if I think they're follow me, my play is going to be knock off Facade into the Indeedee. Because there's also a world where Iron Crown tries to protect on my Protect to set up that endgame where they can just go Helping Hand on the next turn. So I'm thinking if I can capitalize on that and trying to maybe win this mind game, there's a chance. But it really just comes down to if they protect or not. Yeah. So... oh. Well, we got the mind game. We won the mind game. And now it's Headlong Rush Flare Blitz. Yeah. Perfect. So, it looks like the Helping Hand Expanding Force would have been pretty close, but I think I might have lived. Ursaluna might have lived that Helping Hand Expanding Force upon farther review, but that's a big win. Alright, jumping into our best of 3 now, guys. And what I want to talk about in best of 3 with this team is I think it's going to become a lot better. And I think this is where Trick Room teams actually shine, is when you know how to get room up and you know the spots you need to get to, they become so much more valuable. Because in best of 1 and close team sheets and stuff like that, you don't know what your opponent has to stop you. You don't know the damage calcs on how things work out. But now here, even if I lose game 1 because let's just say, oh, I took an L because I didn't expect this to kill me. Well, now I know, right? And now I know, okay, well, I can update properly that way. You know, I update my information in my brain and adjust, right? So always that's the case in best of 3 in any case. But I think Trick Room does that exceptionally well because there's that one mode. Okay, how do I get my room up? This is how I'm going to do it this time. So I'm just going to go Instant Amoonguss immediately. Instant Amoonguss, I love P2, and Gholdengo is actually a problem. I'm going to go Ursaluna game 1, just to try and maybe scare off the Gholdengo. Because here it is. And guys, it ain't going to be pretty. So if they fake out my instant here, I'm getting a Spore into the instant. So I'm going to go Knockoff, and I'm just going to go Spore. I'm going to make you pick one, and I'm going to go ahead and say, figure it out. Spore going into that. Now I need to figure out how am I going to win this game. Because, Cat, it's not looking good. If they go Terra Fairy, that's fine. I think what I'm going to do is knock off this turn and just Sludge Bomb. Okay, sure. Fine by me. Not an amazing turn for us. But damage to breaking a sturdy is never a bad thing. I am AV Incin, so I think it is in my best interest to Terra Grass. I just don't know if that actually gets me far enough ahead. Because this is just Make It Rain Ivy Cudgel. And I don't know if I live by going Terra Grass. I have to try. I have no choice. And then I can't redirect the Ivy Cudgel, so... Oh, I'm not living. I am not living. Never mind. Okay, well, see, this is what I mean. I get game 2 to figure this out. This is probably supposed to be one of those ones where it's the Scarf Ursh game plan. Because once again, they just Make It Rain Cudgel. I Trick Room and I Protect. If I get the survival, maybe I have a chance. But I don't think P2 is, wait. Cat. They're giving us a chance? We might have lived the double up, on all honesty. So, them giving us a chance here is actually super interesting. So what I get to do is I get to recover. And I'm just going to Headlong Rush. That's fine. It's a good protect. And this is where I wish that I didn't burn my Terra. Because now I could have been able to cycle out of this. But unfortunately, as of right now, I can no longer do that. Ice Beam and Protect, it's my only option. But this just gives them free setup. So, freeze. Never lucky. I'm just going to Facade the Rillaboom slot. No real reason not to. Because they should be protecting. Ice Beam Freeze over there, and just in case I get it. So, there's the Protect. They glide, that's fine. I have one turn to get out of Trick Room. I'll have one turn to pick up a KO. Still almost winnable. Ursaluna is going to go down to -2. Getting through the Terra on this Gholdengo is going to be a problem as well. So now they're going to go Follow Me and win the game, right? They just click Follow Me. I've never win. They should Terra Fairy, Follow Me, and win every time. So is there a world where I can do something here? I don't think so. I think my world is Ice Beam and I have to go for a double. Because they're going to Terra Fairy. I have to Protect. Here's the Follow Me. And the Ice Beam coming out. No freeze. Make It Rain comes out. P2. Not appreciated. Okay, well, I got crit. Cool. We're going to go to game 2. Yeah, and this is one of those matchups where I actually think Gholdengo, especially a setup variant, is going to be problematic. So I need to find a way to break through that, and I don't know if we realistically have one. I think not leading a Moongus will definitely help. So maybe like a P2 Incin Ursaluna mode could be good. And honestly, Terra Fire Enamorus, I don't even hate. Like, I'm going to try it as the adaptation here, right? Because I think there's a world for it, and there's a case to be made, right? So were we the faster Incin? We were the slower Incin, which obviously not great. I'm just going to Trick Room and knock off. Yeah, that's fine. There's a nasty plot. Alright, this is where I think being a faster Incin on a team like this is also very good. So maybe we have too much in attack, but I'll get into that when we talk about team review. Terra Blast for some chip. That did a lot of chip. Okay, Gholdengo running out of health, and I think that's a super important part to talk about. Here comes a Make It Rain. Obviously, should be doing massive damage. Not quite going to get a kill, and that's actually really, really nice. So, I'm going to U-turn and recover, I think. Leaving Gholdengo is scary, though. I can't do that. Okay, Terra Blast and U-turn this way. Yeah, that's fine. So not quite as good as I wanted, but still relatively decent here. I get to U-turn out. I'm going to go Enamorus because if they do knock off the Incin again, which I don't think they're going to do, but I will go Enamorus first. Yeah. And that's why, like I said, I can't afford to not be having a burn on my Ursaluna. So they have fake out pressure. That's good for them. I'm going to recover if they want to fake out my Enamorus. That's fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Dazzling Gleam right now. Right now we've got a lot of good resistances. They can't really do too much. So they're going to fake out Enamorus with a play like this. Yeah. And I get a free recover. Cool. So they do not have Terra available to them right now. I am going to pivot into Instant, I think. And I think I just want a Dazzling Gleam. Surely they're going to protect. Dazzling Gleam is still fine, though. Actually, if I'm calling Protect, I can go Ice Beam and pivot into Instant on this side. They didn't Protect? They're going to double P2 then, right? Okay. I've got to get better at being able to make sure I can get Trick Room up a second time. Because I should have probably just sent the Enamorus damage. Although, realistically speaking, I'm not in that bad of a position right now. I'm going to go Dazzling Gleam, and I'm going to... yeah, Dazzling Gleam's fine. I'm going to just U-turn off the... Yeah, I'm going to U-turn off here if I get to. I don't think I do, but just in case I can't. Yeah, perfect. That's fine. This is super fine, actually. Because now they're down to -2. I get Ursaluna on the board. And obviously, Dazzling Gleam, nothing like crazy for damage output. But damage is damage, right? So, okay. They can't fake out both of us. I can Facade the Raging Bolt slot every time. And I will Moonblast the Raging Bolt slot every time. Surprising they went for that one, to be honest with you. But anyways, Moonblast into Raging Bolt should be getting a KO. Enamorus, buddy, you're not really helping. You're not really helping. I'm trying to showcase you that you're good. You're not helping. All right. That would have been a big KO to get. I think I just Earthquake and stay on the board with Enamorus here. I'm really surprised they faked out the one that could Terra Ghost, but that is fine. There's a Flare Blitz. I do lose Enamorus. Earthquake should clean up both. I don't think there's enough here. I just don't think I have enough health to win this one, unfortunately. They do have the Rillaboom. It's going to need to be Ursaluna being goated. So, interestingly enough, they are Life Orbed. So, there's the world where, well, they're going to fake out my Instant. If I protect the Ursaluna, and they click Make It Rain, they do lose their Gholdengo. Can I use that as a capitalization that's actually going to win the game? I think it's the only way I win if they don't see that line. Because they have to fake it. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna try that. We're gonna go Flare Blitz here if they let me. Actually, no, that's definitely wrong. And Protect. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, so they saw the line. Unfortunate. They saw the line. I could have stayed in. I could have facaded and then actually been in an okay spot. So that was quite literally. I hate using the term 50-50 because like it really isn't a 50-50. You know. My win con now is that I live Make It Rain Woodhammer with Instant. That doesn't happen. Go for the double. Doesn't happen. Make It Rain. Okay, they glid. That's fair. That was banking a lot on Instant getting on the Gholdengo getting the KO. Now, granted, it probably does consistently, so can't really say much. But definitely a good game. They played way better. I think they had the tools too. Okay, just to wrap this up, guys, and it's one of those ones we actually never, as much as we were bringing Enamorus, it was never really being what we wanted it to be. I don't think it's bad by any means, and I think something similar to this is maybe how you're supposed to go about capitalizing on it. Maybe we do need something like an Indeedee, but the problem is Indeedee doesn't stop you from getting faked out, right? So it's tricky, right? Because I'm not a Trick Room player, guys, and I think you can probably tell that in the way I piloted the team, right? There were a lot of scenarios where I probably could have gotten Trick Room up a little bit better. Maybe Porygon 2 is supposed to be bulkier. There's a lot of different things, but there was a lot of these cases where I probably should have been able to get a better read and get Trick Room going up a second time. And I think that's where the Trick Room teams, like, where good Trick Room players and just like people that's playing Trick Room are separate from each other, right? Like, I think Trick Room on the surface is a very simple team to pick up, but to master Trick Room, it takes so long. It's finding those lines to not only get it up once, because you know your opponent probably going to be able to stall it out for more often than not. So you want to be able to make sure you're keeping resources to get it going a second time, and then that's really where it goes. Like, if you're not winning in 4 turns, you got to make sure you're getting Trick Room up a second time. And obviously, I don't think I was doing a very good job of that. Never really been a hard Trick Room player, so tough for me to really say for sure. I don't think Enamorus was necessarily bad, but I think we see the reason why there isn't a lot of people like trying to make it work. Because it was tested, it was okay. Once again, I'm not trashing it. But like when I put it in front of things, I don't know, it did its job, but I never really got to a spot where I was like, yeah, really want to get Enamorus on the board right now. So it could be a team issue, but overall, it was fun. It was kind of a Valentine's Day themed episode, hoping it was going to do a little bit more. You know, it's got hearts on its back, right? It's a Valentine's Day episode. Don't worry about it. I tried, guys. I think there's probably a little more to it. I think a better Trick Room player would probably be able to make it work a little bit better than myself. But with that, guys, we are going to get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do enjoy this type of content, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and of course, I really do appreciate it. But with that, I'll catch you all in a future video.